So welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, we're going to be going over something I just ordered in from Amazon. It's something that we use a lot. A brand new smokeless fire pit. And no, this video is not sponsored, bought and paid for with my own money. So let's get the parts out for this 28-inch fire pit that I ordered in. As always, the links will be down in the description, as long as this turns out to be okay. All right, so here is our fire pit. And let me explain why we went with this particular model and why we're not using our solo stove anymore. All right, so here it is, our new smokeless fire pit. I believe this model was from a brand called HGD. I looked at quite a few online. Ultimately, this one seemed like the best deal for the money and for the size. So the biggest selling point to me is 28 inches. So let's go ahead and take a look right off the rip. Well, they're coming in short here. I don't know why they called this model a 28 when I'm showing 26 1/4. But the inside measurement's what's the most important to me, 24 inches. So one of the big reasons we went to this over the solo stove bonfire that we have is because now I can easily fit standard 16 or 18-inch firewood in this, whereas we really struggle to do that with the solo stove bonfire. It winds up piling up and sticking out the top because it won't lay flat inside of that fire pit. Now we won't have a problem with the one this large. This particular model comes with a stand, but another problem I see, it's missing the bolt and it was nowhere in the box. Luckily, I have one of those. And this model also comes with a cooking grate. A little flimsy, but I think it would hold burgers and steaks just fine. We actually do occasionally cook over our fire pits. Now, one unique feature I really like about this one is the removable ash pan. That's a kind of a gripe with my solo stove bonfire the more I've used it. The way the ash pan sits in the solo stove bonfire, it leaves a gap all the way around and ash falls in. So you've got to pick up this entire unit and go dump it. Whereas this actually completely seals off in here, it looks like. We don't have the big gap all the way around. Certainly some ash is going to get there, but the majority of the coals and stuff should stay on top. So the next day when it's cooled off, you pull this out and you'll go dump it. And as you can see, it's got a bottom pan as well and lip that you'll dump out some of the ash that made it through. Here's my little manual. And again, the screw is nowhere to be found to put my legs together. All right, so the real test, you can see the way these work. Air comes in from the outside bottom. This is a double wall right here. Cool air will come up inside this double thickness wall. It gets superheated on the way out, and as smoke comes on up, that superheated air actually reignites and does a secondary burn. So you'll see flames come out of these holes, but only after you get this super hot. We're gonna wait for it to get dark, light our first fire in here, and test this theory out. All right, so here is our smaller solo stove bonfire. We've had this for quite a while. We enjoy it and use it all the time. But herein lies the problem. You can see it shows 17 inches in the middle. That means I can only put one piece of traditional firewood in here. If you try to stack any more, well, you've just got to put them in an angle and they stick out the top. It's not very deep, it's not very wide. So I have to wind up cutting my firewood down to specific size lengths. That's getting a little old. Also, the ash pan, if you pick it up, you can see ash falls down in. Here's the ash pan down here, but it's got big gaps around it, and stuff always winds up falling in there. So I have to pick this entire pit up and go dump it out in the woods. All right, speaking of, I got them out here side by side. Look at the size difference between the HGD and the little solo stove bonfire. Now, in solo stove's defense, this isn't really a comparison video about them, it's just what I happen to own. They do make a bigger Yukon model that's similar size to this. Herein lies the second big reason I bought this. That little solo stove bonfire right there, I don't even know what current pricing is, but they used to be like $350. Ouch. The Yukon model is like $550, and then you can get it with packages with grills and everything else, and I think it goes up into the 600s. Again, I don't know what current pricing is. This right here, I just got for $199 on Amazon. Now, I've seen it go up to $210, I've seen it go down to $189. Price does jump around, but $199 seemed very fair for something that costs $550 from that brand. They're both made in China, both made out of stainless steel, so I decided to spend less than half the amount of money on this one in hopes that it works good. And the reviews seem good, so I think it's worth the risk. All right, so check this out. We're only a few minutes in. Now the key is use dry wood. If you use wet wood or damp wood, you're always gonna have smoke. But look at this. I'd say that's smokeless. We're actually burning it under a porch roof. Now this is a very, very high porch roof. I would never do this under a short one. It's 16 feet up there. Nice and clean, and we're starting to get a little bit of secondary burn occasionally coming out the holes, but we're gonna have to get more of a coal bed in there and a little more wood before you'll start seeing these holes up top right here. I'll say, even though I'm a bit disappointed, they claim this is a 28-inch pit and you've seen that it come in as 26. Doesn't matter to me. That's all 16-inch firewood. It fits in there so easy. You can see I could throw a lot more in there, but honestly, this is so hot, we don't want any more in there right now. All right, so I don't know if you can tell, I really don't want to put too much in here. This is already so hot, but we're starting to get that secondary burn right there. You'll see the flames coming out the holes, but overall, this is still doing extremely well. And for those of y'all that are curious, I am blown away. I got the model with the stand. I don't know if you can tell. I'm sticking my hand all the way underneath. This has been burning for 45 minutes to an hour. It is cool underneath. So if you're worried about this burning a porch or having any issues, while I can't say what it eventually may get to, after almost an hour of burning in a super hot fire inside, like, it's literally cool underneath. That's because it's pulling all this cool air in from outside and the heat is rising. So here we are next day after we burnt a fire in this for hours and hours last night. So happy to say thus far, no discoloration. If I remember correctly, I think my solo stove discolored first burn. And again, I'm expecting that is going to happen. That's just kind of normal for stainless steel. If you look on the inside, yeah, it's already discolored where the heat was. Shockingly, it did not make it to the outside. And I must say this performed well. One thing my wife and I both noticed immediately is how much more heat this puts off than the solo stove did. And I know what you're saying. Hey, you probably had a bigger fire. We kind of really didn't, to be honest. Maybe so, but what we've discovered is because this is so open, it's allowing reflection of heat to come back out onto the people standing around it. Whereas my little solo stove bonfire is so small, you're just kind of, well, just feeling the cold sidewalls. This being open and exposed and reflecting the heat off, it just really felt a whole lot warmer. And yes, you can burn a bigger fire. All right, so something I'm curious about. How bad did the ash pan, did it warp? I'm expecting it to do that because coals are right on top of it. It's really thin. How easy is it to pull this out? Does all the ash come with it? I'm probably gonna make a mess. All right, I'm being nice and slow because I'm not trying to spill this everywhere. All right, I can already tell you this is way better than the solo stove, but we gotta go back and look how much fell in the bottom. The solo stove, forget about it. Oh, so much ash fell by the ash pan. All right, let's dump this, that you had to bring the whole unit out. All right, a little discoloration, but honestly, this does move around. I need to position it over there. I'm not really seeing much, if any, warping. Now, I do expect after many, many burns, this to warp some, and I'm curious if it's gonna wind up binding whenever that happens, but I guess we'll cross that road when we get there. But thus far, I like that. All right, so let's see how much ash is still in here. Happy to say, that is awesome. There is not much ash in there at all. So you could get that out with a shop vac, blow it out, or eventually after multiple fires, I'll probably just take the pit off the porch and go dump the entire thing in the woods because it's really not that heavy. But huge difference between this and the solo stove on the way the ash comes out. Okay, so far, so good. All right, so the big test, just time. We'll see if we have any discoloration, any rust, or any warping. That's gonna take quite a while to see if it happens. And honestly, I'm expecting some of that to happen. But for the price point that this is at, this is by far the most affordable large pit, smokeless pit that I could find. It did seem to work. The key is you've got to burn super dry wood in these. Doesn't matter if it's smokeless or not. If you put wet wood in there, you're gonna get steam, you're gonna get smoke. That's just the way it is. We had such an enjoyable time last night. This puts off a pile of heat. And again, the price point is killer. I'm gonna put some links down in the description. Again, not sponsored, bought and paid for my own money. But if you wanna use that affiliate link on Amazon where I bought mine, I do earn a small commission, and it incentivizes me to get out and make this type of content and review things for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.